Yeehaw everyone! Welcome back to Cosplay Gourmet. Today we are going to be making the apple family apple fritters and some cherry chimichangas. Alright, so we're going to start off with the apple fritters. The first thing you're going to need is to get a pan out with about some oil in it. I used about 2 cups, but you want it to be at least, an inch or 2 high oil. Then I used a cup of flour, a 1/4 cup of sugar, a teaspoon and a half of baking powder, half a cup of milk, 1 tablespoon butter, 1 egg, and we're going to be using a teaspoon of cinnamon, a teaspoon of vanilla, half a teaspoon of salt, and I chopped up about 1 Granny Smith apple. Now that I have all my ingredients together, we're going to go ahead and combine them. This is actually pretty easy, goes pretty fast. We're going to take all of my dry ingredients, my flour, my sugar, my baking powder, my teaspoon of cinnamon, my salt, and combine those up good. I'm gonna add a little bit more cinnamon just for my liking. Now I'm going to combine all my wet ingredients. So here's my milk, my egg, ooh, splattered, my butter, that should be already melted butter, just so you know, and my vanilla. Okay, and I'm going to mix those well. Then I give it a break. Okay, now I'm going to add my dry ingredients, but you don't want to overmix here. You just want to fold them in together. I'm going to only put in a little half, stir that a little bit, pour the other half. And the last thing we're going to do is add the apples. Just until combined here. Yep, you're going to get a nice kind of thick batter, kind of somewhere in between cake and cookie. Okay, I'm going to add my apples. Now I just kind of chop these roughly. There's no kind of perfect science to it, just kind of however you want your apple chunks and your fritters to be. Now again, I'm just kind of working in the apples till they're combined, kind of covered with the batter. And then, I'm just going to go over here and check my oil. You want your oil to be about 340 degrees. I'm actually using a candy thermometer. It works. So this is the consistency you're looking for. A thicker batter, and then it's okay for those apple peaks to be sticking out. It's probably going to make about 4 to 6 fritters, so it's a smaller batch. When your oil has reached the proper temperature, you're just going to take your dough and then you're going to drop big spoonfuls in, probably about a 1/4 cup size. And it should nice and sizzle once you drop them in there. And you can do multiple at a time. And they should kind of float to the surface when they are cooked through. While your fritters are cooking, you're going to want to make sure you have a slotted spoon to scoop them out with so the oil can drip down. And you're also going to want to have prepared a plate with some paper towels to absorb some of the oil while they're cooling. And I'm just flipping them halfway through. I can see by the edges that it's kind of golden brown. And these are turning out real pretty. I made my apple fritters a little bit smaller, so it turned out that this batch made me about 8 nice size apple fritters. If you've never had an apple fritter, try them. They're delicious. They're essentially fried dough with apples in them. One thing I will say though is that the oil required for these does get very, very hot, so it is something to be cautious of. We are now on to cherry chimichangas, or chimicherrychangas. So this is a really easy recipe. All you're going to need is tortillas, either cherry preserves or cherry cake filling, pie filling. I still have my oil going from the apple fritters, and I mixed about a quarter cup of sugar with about 2 tablespoons of cinnamon to make a nice little cinnamon sugar mixture. So all you have to do for this is take some tortillas. I got some smaller ones just because, you know, desserts, you don't want to kill the sugar. And take my preserves, and I'm going to lay them out on the tortillas. And then you're going to fold it up just like a burrito. There we go. So sides in, flip it over, and then just tuck and roll. And I'm going to put a little extra preserves right on the end so that it'll kind of hold it a little bit better. Okay, so there is my one little tuck burrito, and I'll make 2 for now. 2 cherry chimichangas are going in the oil. Okay, and so you're just going to watch for them to brown a little bit. It does not take long. And when you can see that they're getting a little bit brown, then you can flip them over. And flipping. Okay, and then straight from the oil, you're going to want to dump them in your cinnamon sugar and have them roll around, get all nice and covered. And there's one. And there's 2. So, I mean, it's a nice, easy 5-minute dessert, and trust me, it's delicious. They're all warm, and they're crispy on the outside. And I cut one in half. You just watch all that cherry filling gush out of it. Oh. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. These would be a nice little treat to have for breakfast while you're watching your Saturday morning episode of My Little Pony.
Hot schmott. These things look great. Oh. What probably could have been 20% cooler.